Dola Geshe Tsultim Gyeltsen Sangha Chedon Sojo Chancho Bando Dane Shasuch Naye Jege Jebe Sonam Dola Geshe Tsultim Gyeltsen. All of the Majonan Gitadanya be Sengi Tangi Dendo, Tojalana Bayanda was obey Sanji Kumbarum, but you can get over Shago, Tate over Shavi Chedo, Tambe Chair, but you say, Yabegon, Shangi, Sembi, say, Sembegon, Semberation.
Let us cultivate the altruistic motivation, and the way we do that is by reminding ourselves that we must strive to accomplish complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. And with that kind of altruistic motivation, that we should participate in this teaching. I believe that all of us are seeking complete freedom or liberation from cyclic existence or samsara in general, and particularly the three bad migrations. In other words, I believe that we are all seeking to become fully enlightened persons. Only gave us about the Achin and the marriage, one passion, Kavan, one mine, Kavan, Jim Arizona, combat Tambon in those in combat Tambon, Javni, Terrenbeer and Bachin, Sata Lamchi, on the Naviat, the Shavas, Rumba in the journey, and it is told the attention about Togo. So, in order to work towards our ultimate spiritual goal, that is complete enlightenment, we have to pursue the path from its beginning stage. In other words, there is a gradual path leading to the complete enlightened state, and we need to start it from where it should be started. The point I'm trying to make is that we cannot, start somewhere in the middle, just jump right there, and then it's almost like bypassing, many beginning steps, and somewhere start in the middle and go all the way to enlightenment. Or there's no way that we can start from some kind of advanced level and then just work, backward, so to speak. So we need to understand that there is a complete structure of path which involves what we call different levels of path as well as different spiritual grounds. In Tibetan we call salam, sa meaning spiritual grounds, or bhumis in Sanskrit, lam meaning paths. So we need to look at the structure of the path and start it from the beginning and then progress gradually on the path and grounds toward enlightenment. There is no need for us to worry about if we follow this particular path that I'm talking about, which is complete structure of the path, which consists of different levels of path and different spiritual grounds. We do not have to doubt that if I follow this path, would it really help me to be free from suffering and its causes for good, or would it really lead me to complete freedom state and complete enlightenment where I want to be?
Sanji Transmission Sara, Tanda, that General Shanking, but a Maupana Sanji Transmission. Tahana Yigani, that Tempande on the Sheva Yanaya, and that temperature of Sanji, Chunch Kolokor, and that Munitoni pe that Digital in the Vegeta. Tawadanji combat top sympathy and Zoha or that into Manzo Tonji, the arrest, that Kiji arrest. So that into any answer type, pay Zambuki Chagar was.
So if you wonder how could I, make that claim, it is grounded in, as you might say, facts and figures in today's language, or there are evidence to back up the claim I just made. According to our belief that there have been innumerable Buddhas already, and they have all followed the same path, complete steps of the path, which led them to the final destination. In other words, they become Buddhas. And so we do talk about, coming of, hundreds of Buddhas to our world. And the one we know, most popularly in the world is the Buddha Shakyamuni. And the Shakyamuni Buddha came to our world, and he showed us through his own life experiences the path that leads any interested individuals to the complete enlightened state. And through his own teachings and guidances, many other innumerable beings have actualized and high realizations and attained various levels of spiritual states. So all of these things are provide us evidence, if you will, to claim, to verify that by following the complete steps of the path that I'm talking about, that we will be able to achieve highest enlightenment.
Dubji Churning Kiwaris. So that Aranzo Tony, Jambiina, Avarangton Jambiina, Ta Yamashibatambazo, Satomboli here, Tenagi, Naranzo, the Dragata, top down in Aranzo, Lutin Kiwa, Chikiwa, Chagu.
If we look at the life stories of many sublime or the realized holy beings, and they have attained different levels of realizations. Broadly speaking, they attained nirvana, complete freedom from samsara, and complete enlightenment or Buddhahood by following the same structure of the path. So we have been very fortunate to be able to have access to the same path, structure of the path. And additionally, when we look at the basis upon which we can cultivate the path, whether it's the physical basis or the mental basis, we have the same, physical and mental basis to be able to cultivate the path and progress to complete enlightened state. The point I'm trying to make here is this. That when we look at the physical basis or the bodies of the holy beings, who have already achieved, high realizations, they have the same body as we have, or we have the same body as they have, And when we look at this mind, their mind, is the same as our mind. And so it's through training of the mind and discipline of the mind and practice that they have been able to attain high levels of realization, which we are also, able to attain.
Dayang Dongwan this second was. Then Taba Sangi Jimmy Taba Shavala, Da Anipe Chimeva Only Chimney Radushoni, Radushon about the Google Mendelson. That nobody them but Rajung, nobody them but Google Mendelson, Temaris.
now even we may also question ourselves. Well, that seems all true. I have the same body as they had, or they have, and I have the same mind as they have. But then, must I take monastic ordination, or must I become a monk or a nun? Is that the prerequisite or the requirement to become an enlightened being? Is that the essential part of the path of the process to enlightened state? The answer is no.
Chimba Ranshene, Dene, Lucy Devi in a Rang Dujuke, Taba Rang Drup to be in a Taba the Rangle Lably of Kiva, someone.
Shakyamuni Buddha himself said very clearly, as Geshe quoted the line, and I quote, being at home, in other words, what it means, being a lay person, being at home meaning being a lay person, still is possible to reach enlightenment. And he said that enlightenment is in your hand. You could be at home or you could be a lay person.
아니 따든데 더 아니 소시 드베이나 따들 포목 제바다 아니 랍준다 아니 되게 제바자니 침박 제바자니 요 말했으면 해송 가능도 왔어.
Buddha himself made it clear that when it comes to finding enlightenment, there is no gender differences. In other words, that gender is not a factor. That either impedes one or that, that facilitates one to reach complete enlightened state. It's not an issue. Both genders can reach enlightened state equally. And also, I just explained to you that monastic ordination is not a necessary factor in reaching complete enlightened state. Both monks and nuns, we call monastics, as well as lay practitioners, are able to reach complete enlightened state. Of course, the requirements are that individuals must have genuine interest in spirituality or Dharma, cultivating Dharma, and then educate themselves in the spiritual matter and cultivate the path in their mind or do the practice. So those are the essential requirements to work towards enlightenment. But other factors such as gender and monasticism or celibacy are not essential factors.
Kene mangbo yore tenzu ani pe thweban da ji rawas ani sangur was.
Well, then one might start to think, okay, if that is true, so then why do some individuals take monastic ordinations, become monks and nuns, and why? I mean, they have so many vows, monastic vows to keep. Is that just to burden them? Just to put an extra burden on these people?
Tatende Tabata Radusho, Tabata and Sheve, Radusho Sheve in Tisiga and the Chu Jubalata, Murata. The house is Chu Jubala and the Tunchin Samata. I need to show you Bata. Tahana Yi, Domba to Son is a Yamumbal Pandosi and Yambutin Alta, Le Hak in Dogo, so that the native Chava Kimbo Yaris.
While monasticism or monastic ordination is not an essential cause or a factor to reach enlightened state, nonetheless, it is a great facility or facilitating factor to reach enlightened state faster. And so all the monastic vows that monks and nuns subscribe to and they observe, these create conducive factors and provide facilities for them to develop their mind faster and reach enlightened state faster. Why? Because these vows provide them the space. These vows allow them to have time at their disposal, if you will, and you make time to keep these vows, and these vows remind them to counteract their deluded states of mind all the time. And because these monastic vows become great facilitating factors, that's why the monks and nuns, theoretically speaking, have are in a better situation in the sense of being able to work towards enlightened state, faster.
No, that thing is that. I think I'm so that. About the Zuma shaking at Zuma. About the Zuma to the any social any cursor. Nobody. That you were there. That you were there. Tangaranzo shaking that Galomak Dombati, Galomak Dombati, Sitani, Tan and the Wast and that Jamie Son saying it and San Lanky Mambo, Sonsa, give a child your rest. Luting Chipomoke, Luting Zubuk Chase and Mato, Dombag Ton and it, you a child, you were rest.
And those who have taken monastic ordination or who have become monks and nuns, of course, there are different levels of ordination, but provided that the levels of ordination are all the same, let's say, fully ordained monks and fully ordained nuns, of course, there is a gender difference, one is a male and other is a female. Other than that, their monastic vows are equally precious. It's not that one gender's vows are more precious and more profound than the other gender. You see that should not be. And in the case of a non-ordination, maybe in a particular tradition such as Tibetan, we don't have full ordination, but that but some other tradition like Chinese Buddhist tradition has the full non-ordination. So those who have taken the full non-ordination, so their full ordination is as good as the full ordination that monks receive in any tradition, including Tibetan.
No. So the dependent those potatoes. Pomok Cheba the pay Zubuk, the Zubu Cheba Zanjire Mato, the Mato Anepe, that. Children be any that tunches and them do data. The Hanagi Tobja Yundilla Chebatan Media. Benas Sanji and Ben Sanji Sanji and the Pomanigan was. Yum certainly Nigand was. Ben using them that to make a leading than Sanji was. But the Hana Italy Mambo Yoris. Johnson Sonza, that Zube Chebasan Mato, Yundiki Chanita. You are Yam Guris, the Yam Kita, Sanji that you were.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that yes, we cannot deny the biological differences or the gender differences, which constitute who we are. Some of us are males and some of us are females. But in terms of our capacities and abilities to cultivate spiritual paths, our rights to spiritual paths, our access to spiritual paths, and our potentialities to actualize spiritual realizations, we are all just the same. Okay, so that's why when we look within Buddhism, we do talk about realized or enlightened both male and female personalities. Right, especially if we look within the Tantric Buddhism, we talk about the male and female deities, right, and the deities in union or deities, solitary deities, so they are on equal footing, if you will. It's not that the male deities are higher level or than the female deities. Buddhas are Buddhas after all. Tara attained Buddhahood on the basis of female gender. She's a woman, who attain enlightenment. So how complete enlightenment or Buddhahood is as good as, male Buddhas. There is not slightest difference.
That in the Mambo yours, but so soon those in Jabba said, Annie, Dohaninga Lula, and Yundi Kiba in Kenya, Pomo Cheba Taj Chebamanda, and the Yodimato, Yundi Cheba Kiba Chata, then the race.
So I would just advise, you to just go investigate yourself from both Sutrayana perspective and Tantrayana Buddhist perspectives. Are there any differences between the genders in terms of attaining realizations and so on? As I just laid out, that there should not be, and there isn't.
That in the Cheba Chamber, Cheba Kari Maranzogani, Sanji the Kid again to the Chandra Shakur was. Chandra cities and any Gundu tele any Gundu control any Gundu control tele any director. Sosi Gundu town, and the Fabi Gundus in Nishe. That Sosi Gundu the Tabada Anita Socio Tabada Anita Socio Gundu train dog race. Give what chowers, give what show you give what is, show you what is.
So why do we need to talk about these things? These are relevant to us in that, also relevant to our practice of refuge. We go for refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So when we talk about Sangha, in English we simply translate as spiritual community. Broadly stated, it consists of two types of Sangha. One is ordinary Sangha, and other would be transcendental Sangha. So who do we find in the ordinary Sangha? We go for refuge in. We take refuge in. Ordinary Sangha includes, monks and nuns. So those who have taken monastic ordinations, we don't really differentiate between the genders. They are equally holy, if you want to use that term, and so they become objects of refuge. So they are part of the ordinary Sangha.
Then be church control down, that be church control in Yishi. Then be church control tell any that Palam tone, Palam Pabe Lam to some of that Chaguaris. Any Gindu control the Pabe Gindu control and Palam Tongue Gaza to Pabe Gindu control. The Jilla Yepe, Ane and Golam Tunzo Aneta, don't be. Only church control. That be church control say then around done explanation the taped into your water. Tanzu Sanjay Sombicada, danger to I wanted danger to any dark picture controls those children.
And one of the three jewels is the jewel of Dharma, which is our actual object of refuge. And so Dharma consists of, different dimensions or different aspects. We could classify Dharma into the jewel of ultimate Dharma, and Dadabe Chukunjo, jewel of symbolic Dharma. So what do we mean by ultimate Dharma? Ultimate Dharma meaning, insights into the ultimate nature of phenomena, everything that exists. And so all the, what we call the transcendental paths, the paths of Aryas, constitute ultimate Dharma. And so individuals, notwithstanding their gender differences and other differences, those who have, cultivated any transcendental path, such as path of seeing, these individuals contain or have realized ultimate Dharma, and these are the ones we call Aryas. Aryas could be males and Aryas could be females. In other words, and what is the symbolic Dharma? Symbolic Dharma, is what is contained in the Dharma books or the Dharma scriptures. Explanation, as you heard Geshe use the word, explanation or the elucidation of Dharma. That
day, any a young child of the Hakugras. Niente da Kambata Nyundri Pane, Nyundri Pane, Tabe Combato de Terda, Niente Ranja, Tenzu any public Gindu Chagur Mother Sanji Conjutin Dogmaris.
So what I just explained is that anyone who has actualized or internalized a transcendental path, as I have just defined, a direct insight into the ultimate nature phenomena, such a person is a real Sangha, Arya Sangha, and has actualized ultimate Dharma. Now, in Buddhism, there are paths leading to different spiritual states, as I have explained many times to you. Now those who have attained complete freedom from samsara or cyclic existence, for their own sake, so to speak, and these are called arahants or arahats of Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, or arahants of solitary realizers and hearers vehicles. They have completely abandoned what is known as deluded states of mind or delusive obscuration, delusions to be simple. So that means they have counteracted their delusions and they have gotten rid of their delusions and they're completely free from delusions and they are in the state of nirvana or nibbana. Yes, they are arhats or arahants, but they are not on the same level as Buddhas, complete enlightened beings who are also called arahants or the arahats.
No, that's Sanji could Sanji Teleta, Ane Lucinta, Zukutan Chugose, Randu Chugota, Yendu Zukusin, that Nindus Chevres.
So, complete enlightenment is, if you will, a level higher than personal freedom from samsara. Let's simply call it nirvana or nibbana. And enlightenment has its own, dimensions, different aspects. And often we do talk about different enlightened bodies. Broadly stated, we talk about Dharmakaya, or truth body, and Rupakaya, or form body. And so these, enlightened bodies are what we call dimensions of complete enlightenment. And truth body is referred to as the personal body, whereas the form body is referred to as body for others.
I think the Yendo Zukuseta, Kunimbo the Zuku Yendo Zukuse. That's San Jane any Singi turn to Google. Singi turn Drubala, Aneta Queen number 10, Chusung Gari, Chusung the Singi turn to Mato again, you may have it. So that Chusung the Singi turn to Balata, and Queen number 10, Queen number 10, 10 don't the Longutan Trukusi into Shin. That Trukusi at the Daget of Hillton, Longintonga Jungle Penny, Chuetan, Truku number pepper. That longest at the course and simple Bakata go omini uni, name of Omicon, you were that ring of ideas into Tiju Tata, those in her congress.
The truth body or Dharmakaya is called personal body, and Rupakaya or form body is called other-oriented body. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that once you become Buddha, of course, you want to benefit sentient beings in the best possible way, and for that you need to manifest yourself in the visible forms, if you will, or you need to appear in forms, I should say. So that's why form bodies are referred to as other-oriented bodies, because you assume form bodies to be able to work for and benefit others directly, if you will, sentient beings. And so that's why when we talk about a form body, a Rupakaya, which you should remember as enlightened body, it consists of two types. One is called complete resource body, Sambhogakaya, Lungu in Tibetan, and the other is called emanation body or Nirmanakaya or Turku in Tibetan. And an example of Turku, emanation body, is that of Shakyamuni Buddha, a historical teacher who manifested in this world. So he came in the form of supreme emanation. Okay? And an example of a complete resource body, it could only be found in a special, if you will, a paradise called Agnishta, Pure Land, Wogmin, Tukbukeba in Tibetan. And as a matter of fact, when we look at what constitutes complete resource body, it consists of 5 definitive characteristics, and one of which is that complete resource bodies are only found in Agnishta, Pure Land. Another definitive characteristic would be that they are their disciples, if you will, are all Arya Bodhisattvas. Only Arya Bodhisattvas have access to them, and so on.
That thing is that Rangde Chugusya, the Chugutel years. And then there, and the number 20 Chutan Yungus Dobby, and he hit a Chukuchagu. That Tagana Yinka, Dwani Pambi, Dini Pambi, then go dance them and do Tawanin in Tatuse. And little Anne, then do Sene, Chukusene. And they don't do initial.
Just as we classify form enlightened body or enlightened form body into 2 types, so do we classify enlightened truth body or Dharmakaya into 2 types. One is called wisdom truth body or Gyan Dharmakaya, Yeshe Chugu in Tibetan, which in other words is the omniscient mind or the wisdom of a Buddha. So that is the Gyan Dharmakaya or wisdom truth body. And the other is called natural truth body or Sababhavekakaya or Ngo Nigu in Tibetan. And Sababhavekakaya or natural truth body, to simplify it, it refers to the factor. Now I'm getting more technical here. The factor of having abandoned completely the 2 types of mental obscuration to nirvana, called delusions, and obscuration to omniscient state. So that factor of having abandoned the 2 types of mental obscuration, which is called state of cessation, is natural truth body.
That is on the good Geshes foundation river, good Sumshin and that Maranda Samalo, Sanjit Samalo, Sajidis and any good yin was Nanda, Kusumkin all Sanjagres, Samala Givarist.
So now when we look at enlightened bodies, we could classify them into 3 types, in which case we talk about truth body, complete resource body, and emanation body. Or we could talk about 4 enlightened bodies, in which case we talk about wisdom truth body, natural truth body, complete resource body, and emanation body. And so when we as individuals reach complete enlightened state, we are the ones, who actualize these enlightened bodies we are talking about. In other words, we attain these enlightened bodies, and that's how we become a Buddha.
Kusumbote, that's Sanji Kusumbote, Samal, Sanji, and Kusum all Sanji Kimbares.
So when we attain one of the enlightened bodies, simultaneously we attain all other enlightened bodies. There's no case of you got 1 or 2 and not the 3rd or the 4th. Once you attain one body, enlightened body, you attain all others. And that's why in a praise to Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa or Rinpoche, it's mentioned what Rinpoche attained enlightenment in the intermediate state, the state between death and rebirth. We call it Pardo state. And when he attained enlightenment in that state, he actualized all the three enlightened bodies. And to the one Tsongkhapa who has enlightenment in Pardo state, I bow down to you because you actualized the three bodies. Okay, so those are the outcomes or the results, okay, or the fruits, that we all like to enjoy, we all would like to have. But then how do we get to enjoy them, and how do we actualize them or reach them, if you will, these enlightened bodies? So this is where we need to understand the importance and the role of what is known as three principal paths, Lamsum Namsum. Sometimes people translate as three principal aspects of the path, but let's call them three principal paths. That's better. And what are they? They are, one, renunciation, called Ngejung in Tibetan, or sometimes we translate as aversion to miseries in samsara or cyclic existence, Ngejung. So that is a renunciation, one. Second one is bodhicitta, the altruistic mind of enlightenment, Changchu Sim in Tibetan. Then the third one is the wisdom gone beyond, or the wisdom realizing emptiness as it is. Tongyue Tobe Sherab in Tibetan is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So these three principal paths should be cultivated within our mind to be able to actualize enlightened bodies. Okay, so if we structure these three principal paths, what should we cultivate first? First, we need to cultivate renunciation or Ngejung. And so how do we do that? In order to be able to renounce samsara or cyclic existence, we really need to deeply realize, if you will, the suffering nature of samsara and its causes. So we need to really not only understand, but deeply realize the suffering nature and its causes of samsara. And so how are we able to understand the true nature of suffering and causes of suffering to cultivate renunciation, if you wonder? That's where we need to study, and we need to understand a law of karma and its dimensions and its outcomes. And so as I'm trying to explain to you that when we look within the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering, or the true suffering, and the truth of cause of suffering, or true cause of suffering, we need to realize them in order to cultivate renunciation. And for that, we also need to understand the law of karma and its outcomes. As Geshe quoted the lines from Sutra, the words of Buddha, where Buddha said that all the pleasures and unpleasures of embodied creatures, Lujin, embodied creatures, which is the same as saying sentient beings, they are the products of a variety of karma. And So in order to understand the nature of suffering and its causes, we need to understand the role of karma.
That's the Nisi Mandawa Kibuji so told Tong was. The Garizana lay not so bad. Saya the Mandrake science and Teres. Marazan lay sasses than any credit kick at the lay Shavo kick and his Shavas Maimpe, Rara Soso lays up in Namite, Rana Soso Mingo, but Migo, me but the Tongo, they do Mambuji Tongo was.
In cyclic existence or samsara, we find 6 different types of beings, sentient beings. We call 6 migrators. And we may find ourselves in different realms of existence or different states of existence. You know, we look different and we go through different experiences. We are different environments. Our experiences are different, but all of these things are due to, a variety of karma that we ourselves have accumulated. We have done and accumulated. Even, within one state of existence, for example, individuals or beings, their experiences are widely different. And these differences of experiences we go through or we witness among ourselves are the results of law of karma. Now, when I say the result of karma, again, I must clarify that it's not that there is a one single karmic agent called creator or somebody out there who creates all kinds of karma, and then we individuals, we experience the results of those karma. No, we experience the results of karmas or karmic actions that we ourselves create and accumulate. So that's why, we have individual differences in experiences because we create different karma, and so different karmas bring different results.
So that Junga and Junga Tan Junga Yin, Sata Churta Meta Lung, such a meluntan with any those in Truni. No talking down the Zane. Ane, that Manda can do strong doors. Pekaki Pen when you don't kill you in it. You kill you in a and Kaki Pen relationship with his tongue. Kaki and shame ever to the ship. Kaki pay money on that. Slow dead now you get the child was just Marazati when you don't make mental lazy. She's your Bachira was the son of Mambo Tani, Shigway, Tesum Shigway, it's under him doors, the tongue doors.
How different karmas that we ourselves create, accumulate, produce different outcomes of the results. This is something in a way we could witness for ourselves. Even given the situation of tragedies, such as the natural disasters, maybe brought upon us by, torrential rain, or natural disasters brought upon us by, destruction of fire, or by the storms and hurricanes, or whatnot. Given that, everybody is caught up in such a tragic situation, still we know that people have different experiences. Many die, many escape, many go through tremendous difficulties, and some not necessarily have to go through the same amount of difficulties. And all these differences, how come? Has produced them, if you ask, so these are due to one's own individual karma.
That thing those mental lazy, but any creator, late, any Majipata. So when we witness such situations, right? Yes, it's a tragic situation, hundreds and thousands of people caught up in the same tragic situation, but still,
You see, many survive. Yes, many die, but most survive. And how come, you see? So this shows that there isn't a such thing as one called agent of karma, call it creator, who brings it all this tragedy upon us. If that's the case, then everybody must, have the same experience, because you really don't have control over what you experience because somebody does the trick on you, But the fact of the matter is, because we create different individual karmas, so being caught up in a similar situation, we go through different experiences. We have, as we investigate, we can see that one particular karma cannot bring two different, total different types of result. A particular karma brings a particular result.
So that then they get that, they get navigating as a heavy in ane ta doing it jewelry, ta cursing shit to rest. That the human do are something, that the human do something, that when it only pay Shambhala chagres.
So if we really educate ourselves well, about the law of karma, its aspects of the dimensions and outcomes, then we really are able to understand, if you will, the true nature of samsara, why there is so much suffering in samsara. And there are pleasures, but the pleasures are also a form of suffering here. And so then we see that there's really not much true essence, as we would say, that we're trying to find happiness in samsara existence. So as we realize the true suffering nature of samsara, then we develop aversion to the miseries in samsara, and we seek a way out of samsara. So that's how we develop renunciation. We are able to renounce samsaric existence. So when looking at the three principal paths, the first level of path, or the foundation, if you want to call it that, is cultivating renunciation, or ngejung in Tibetan. Then, grounded in that, if you will, now we cultivate altruism, altruistic mind of enlightenment, or what we call bodhicitta, chengchu in Tibetan. And how do we do that? We at least have two different meditational techniques, methodologies, if you will. One is called 6 causes and 1 result meditational technique. 6 causes and 1 result, meditational instruction on how to cultivate bodhicitta. Then there's a mouthful there for translator. And that's called Jude Mengatun in Tibetan. And then there's a Takshen Nyamche, equalizing and exchanging self for others. Another meditation technique to cultivate bodhicitta.
That injury, Dinga, Sawa Karisana, Sanje Tangil, same Yambaki, never Alitambu, same Yam Tubaki, Data Yen, the Pamasumbu, Saint Pandus and Susu, Money, Saint Yam Tubaki, about genres.
So how can we cultivate bodhicitta or altruism, whether we use a particular meditational technique or integrate both of them? Where do we begin? The groundwork that we need to prepare is called cultivating balanced state of mind, or sense of equanimity, or even-mindedness. In other words, that is that we have all kinds of biases, if you will, and prejudices in relation to different beings. We categorize them into friends, enemies, and strangers. So now we categorize them differently. We have different attitudes towards them, different biases towards them. So we don't treat them equally. So an important groundwork to cultivate bodhicitta or altruism is we should be able to see them all as being equal, treat them equally, be able to treat enemies just the way we treat our friends, and we should treat the strangers just the way we treat our friends. So we should be able to develop a sense of equanimity or balanced state of mind in relation to all of them.
Senje Tam Jireta, Sem Yambe Tane, and Sengil never done Meshebeshe. And 펜바다 대화 가시나 pen고스 두트바다 ngo스 두마토바 예나야 생고 토네 생이탄게 펜데든 알아나고 두구인 삼바시네 아 노신다 타게 그레스
To sum up this particular point is that we need to make a decision in our mind that I'm going to cultivate a sense of equanimity, balanced state of mind in relation to friends, enemies, and strangers. I will learn to treat all sentient beings as being equal. And so grounded in that, then I'm going to how should I say? Let me see. So grounded in that, then we develop this kind of sense that I'm not going to do anything that is harmful to them, and in whatever ways I can benefit and help them, literally or directly, I'm going to do that. Where I'm not able to provide direct help, at least I will generate strong wishes to benefit them. I will send those positive thoughts to benefit them. So that's how we cultivate altruism. And so now we cultivate renunciation, we cultivate bodhicitta, and then the third level that's left is called cultivating insight into emptiness, or shunyata in Sanskrit and sunnata in Pali. And so sunnata or shunyata, or emptiness, is what we're talking about is the way in which everything actually exists. What is the final mode of existence of phenomena, ultimate truth of phenomena. And in order to realize this ultimate nature of phenomena called emptiness, one of the best ways, perhaps, if not the best, is to learn about dependent arising, or Tendal, Pratit Samutpat.
That tell Karesana, Ane Tenjung Repasita, Tenjung Ibi Junsin ever check. There's a there's a Tenjung Repandine, Tangin to the Jewish. Tanging a tower to Tawang and Batty, Tawang and Mango, Tawang Iyer, Chesatata, Dubin and Gita Tarta, Atan Rechinatini, Gitsola, Tawa, Mab Zoya, Cargos, and Tenjung, Tomani Togres, Tomani Toba Shevala, and the Cargos and Tenjung Repate, never the Chegres can. There's a Tenjung Repandine, Tangin Tower to the Jewishes, Umanju and find out of Sundoa.
Just as great Indian master Acharya Chandrakirti states in his Madhyamik Avatar, or Supplement to the Middle Way, and Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, that we need to use dependent arising as a reason to cut through the whole network of distorted views, or the distorted viewpoints, or the perceptions. And there are 5 distorted viewpoints, such as what we call, technical term is transitory view, or the view of transitory collection, in Tibetan called jikta. Okay, transitory view, or the view of transitory collection. And another one is the extreme views, tartha in Tibetan. So in order to cut through this whole kind of a network of distorted or perverted views, we need to use the logic, the reasoning of dependent arising. So it's through reasoning of dependent arising that we cut through these distorted viewpoints, and we are able to understand and realize emptiness.
Dujik Chanisegena, Tenin Juma Shadi, Ane Debute Julatin Juma, Tan those Dikshe. Tayan Tenjung Sentation, Pena, Dujil Latin, Dimash Jabatan, Dimash Latin, Dujik Jabat. And then Matapa Latin Taba, Tagulatin Matapa. And those in the pet, there's a Tenjus in the Yatik, the Nating Mandajing into sometimes the was.
So what is dependent arising? Tenjung, or dependently arisen, Tenjung in Tibetan. We could understand it in at least 2 different ways. because there are different types of phenomena, phenomena meaning that everything that exists, we can categorize them into two types. One is called produced phenomena or composite phenomena, Dorjee in Tibetan. Produced or composite phenomena, and the other one is called unproduced or non-composite phenomena, Dorjee in Tibetan. Okay, so within these two categories, we can include everything that exists. So in the case of produced phenomena, dependent arising or dependently arisen could be understood in terms of cause and effect relationship, right? Because of these causes, and conditions, these things arise. These things are produced. Okay, so that kind of understanding of dependent arising is applicable to produced phenomena. Now, dependent arising can also be understood in terms of relativity. Okay, that is, of course, that includes everything that exists, but that is also particularly, if you will, applicable to unproduced phenomena, or what we call Dorjee, non-composite phenomena. And so in other words, that because there are things such as composite phenomena, so we can relatively establish there are phenomena called non-composite. Or because we know that there is impermanence, right? So in relation to the things which are impermanent, we can assert and establish that there are permanent phenomena. So permanence and impermanence are established relatively in relation to each other. So are the produced and unproduced phenomena.
That thing but those chapter David. Jula ten in Jimmy Jones said that chapter. Then the Gilmato Yash Medel. There's a turn you're going to use in a Chutangilla. That is a turn you're going to get. Church.
So I just gave you two different interpretations or understanding of dependent arising, tenjo, or dependently arisen. And so one is in terms of cause and effect, and one is in terms of relativity. Now, the cause and effect interpretation is kind of limited in the sense that that is only applicable, as I just explained, to things which are produced by their causes and conditions. So that means only refer to half of the phenomena, if you will, which are called produced phenomena. Now, dependent arising as the relativity, now that is a very broad concept, and it applies to all phenomena. And so what relativity means is that we posit an existence of a phenomenon in relation to other phenomena. Okay, and now that kind of understanding or the concept applies to everything that exists, right? In relation to composite phenomena, we posit non-composite phenomena. In relation to permanent phenomena or impermanent phenomena, we posit permanent phenomena, and so on.
That can't turn nine. Ane, that she's a yutsi tama, she's a yudoku tamaluta. Ane, Dagi Sema Gelteni. Dorjee mentas, that maintain and Dorjee menta, and the Towe Parandosi Pataba Samato, you couldn't go into Trovizan, that never, Shigo, that Togo.
So to sum up, this is what I'm talking about. Everything that exists, we call phenomena, are objects of knowledge, sheta in Tibetan. Okay, objects of knowledge include everything that exists. Okay, and the Che or Dharma, everything that exists. And so at the highest level of understanding what emptiness is or what dependent arising is this, that everything exists is nothing but a mere label or imputation onto a valid basis of imputation. So that's very technical, and I know it's a mouthful for me to say it. And so what we're talking about that is that every phenomenon has what we call a valid basis of labeling or imputation. Dakshi Tsema in Tibetan. Dakshi meaning basis, Tsema meaning valid. So there is a valid basis of labeling or imputation onto which onto which a conceptual thought labels or imputes whatever the label or the imputation is. So that's why that phenomena are nothing but mere labels or imputations. That's how they exist. There's nothing more, nothing less. They are just mere imputations labeled by conceptual thoughts onto the respective valid basis of imputations. So you can mull over that now for a while.
That chue tangi ji dengue, dongba ni dongba xiaba la, da ji ji ta ni de zhawa ji da gugu. Dang ta de qian ta ni de zhawa da, da na ba da ji da. Da ji ta ni de zhawa da, uma si da min de, umi lam si da min de da, de ani de ni da gomu lu zhu ke. Da da wa ran da ji ta ma hi de zhe ba gong deng ke. Da gomu lu zhu ke ni zhawa. So in order
to understand and realize emptiness of any phenomenon, we must be able to, stay on the middle path. The middle path is defined in terms of avoiding or abandoning the two extremes. There are two, if you will, extremes meaning pitfalls. One is called the extreme of eternalism, takta in Tibetan, and the other is called the extreme of nihilism or cheda or annihilation. So if we fall into any of these two extremes or the pitfalls or the traps, well, then we are not on the middle path. In a way, lost it. So the middle path, avoids these two extremes, and by following the middle path, as elucidated by great Indian master pioneer Arya Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna elucidated the middle path exactly in accordance with Buddha's own thought or intention, as Buddha has predicted. So by understanding the middle path and following it, we are able to realize emptiness as it is.
So that ngaraj samalo khoatang so gudunghe tharni thabe khomba thogu yore de thoba shebala samodoma ni to gu samani toma ni to ma to ba khali tho mebre so that samodoma ni to ba shebala ta kargo yore san an tenjung rikpate tenjung ane atenin anin jung chut khego.
So those of us who are seeking, complete liberation or freedom from samsara or cyclic existence, we must realize emptiness as it is. There's no other way around it. There's no alternative. There's no substitute. There is no, other option. This is it. And so we need to realize emptiness, which is a must to be free from samsara. And in order to realize emptiness, we have to understand what dependent arising is or dependently arisen means, and use that as a reasoning to cut through distorted views and understand emptiness.
Gomba Hama Teding is Degi Matas Gudu Nani, Ane Adang Jing Pyongabodeta, the Toby Talbins Kano.
And it is for that reason, great Indian Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Maha meaning the great of the great, Bodhisattva Shantideva states very clearly in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, as Geshe has quoted from his memory. He said that by realizing emptiness, one will be liberated. All other meditations are just for that. Now, what does that mean? When we look at the 16 characteristics of the Four Noble Truths, each truth has 4 attributes or characteristics. So emptiness is one of them. Once you realize emptiness as it is, So that realization liberates you or me or anybody from samsara, and meditations on the remaining attributes, because there are 15 of them, right? Out of 16, you realize emptiness, there are 15 left. So the remaining attributes or the meditation of the remaining attributes is just for that. It's to understand emptiness.
Later, you must separate Taras. Ranjula, later, you money with the Karasena, Kadi Sabina, the Tabatov race gun. Later, you monam to late the trailer to Tombanish in governors. Later, you money with the current tension was a namtolet in Shomres. The namtole. The namto then never carry chagres, no Tombanish in governors. Nobody don't do on that, maybe chagres can undo.
And as Nagarjuna answers very clearly this kind of question, if you ask, when do we attain liberation or nirvana, freedom from single existence? And then as Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, Nagarjuna answers, whenever we put an end to contaminated karmic actions and delusions. So whenever contaminated karmic actions and delusions come to an end, it is at that point of time we are liberated. And then he goes on to explain from where do contaminated karmic actions and delusions arise. Come from, he said they come from namto. Namto can be translated as they arise from grasping, conceptual grasping at true existence. Okay, and so what can help us to cut through grasping at true existence and put an end to karma and delusions? Then Nagarjuna answers, you should realize emptiness.
That is the timber Jerumbuche, Tandi Jendi, Yagi. Jerumbuche is done on the what tended to Bate. Tended to Baganale. Church, you cut of a tending something to stuck on the Tony, the Decton Bashet and Chibun Jetty to scan on some of Karina, only Basset Karina, danger to be teller, and in Bayatic Takan on your rest. Church, you cut of a tending something juice. Okay, which is also that nobody turned to be tending. Naga the shabby shed and it can number Chinese scanner, then we should use some.
And as Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa or Rinpoche has clearly stated in his work called Praising the Law of Relativity. Now that is a great praise to Shakyamuni Buddha for teaching dependent arising or pratit samudpad. And as Geshe quoted the lines exactly from his memory, so Lama Tsongkhapa addresses Buddha, said, "Oh Buddha, whatever you have taught, whatever you said, meaning whatever you taught, it has all to do with dependent arising or tendal, pratit samudpad." Okay, so the explanation given on this is that Buddha taught numerous things, right? When we go through the extensive classification of Buddha's teaching, we talk about 84,000 forms of discourses. But whatever Buddha taught, what is behind that teaching, if you will, is that all his teachings either explicitly, that is directly, or implicitly, indirectly, lead us to understand dependent arising and emptiness. So that is the purpose of all Buddha's, teaching. And that shows us the importance and the significance of realizing dependent arising.
That coordination, Samalo, Shonsa Kanishon Bresena, Danzi Marik Palishon Arbas. Just a Danzi Maripati, that the Zawadi Kabina, Covid Zawaki girl. That Covid Zawaki as a Kesaka, Lakar as not damn it of Sherry. So that tune that Kakariki in a Sanjikam de Juice Gone. And that creature Karasum begin and some Tomani and Telan Babata, and it took with Tanjun, that's some Chan Chagu rest, Kanandua.
And now to kind of summarize, my points here. Why are we really stuck in samsara? If you say, spell out, one particular cause, because of which we are stuck in samsara, or we have been stuck in samsara all this long, the answer to that is because of our grasping at true existence of self. Okay? That is the root delusion and the root cause from which all other delusions arise, and that's why we are stuck in samsara. Now, if we uproot this grasping at true existence, then we can liberate ourselves completely from samsara. That's great news. Now, how do we do that? And the only method or the means or the tools by which we can cut through this root is by realizing emptiness as it is. There's no other way around it. Okay? And because of that, everything Buddha taught, either explicitly or implicitly, guide us into what dependent arising means, and through that, what emptiness means.
That is Dharma. Tandang here is Tandatian, but in the water of woman juvenile. Yomostonaman, Jixola, Talishonga, Loy Tonjurni, Nanjo by Dan Coppershis, doctrines to be dunked in Coppershagres.
And as great Indian master Acharya Chandrakirti states in his supplement to the Middle Way, and again Geshe quoted the stanza from his memory, he says that a yogi, meaning meditators who see that it is from the view of transitory recollection all other distorted perceptions arise and delusions arise, so they will make every effort to cut through that view, the transitory view. They will make every effort to put an end to seize upon the view or the grasping.
That didn't take young time around church gates all at any Sanji temper which are doing or I think around some Logani that and some Memambuchi, Mother Singing Mobuchi, and that so showing it down. Tagana Yaki, any so she machonata, and Pegarsata, doing him upon yours. Just and do chair to any other man come and in the Panabia.
Before we do dedication, I would like to get your attention to participate in reciting the mantra of compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum, 6th level mantra of Arya Avalokiteshvara, for those who have lost lives in our these great tragedies brought upon us by Katrina and Rita, and many lost their lives and everything, but most survived, but still they are in a very difficult situations, and so we think about them, and we would like to send our prayers, for their well-being. So please join me in this recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum.
Well, that around church should be very all at any Sanji temper which I hear the Nebata. And then Joy in the Bizubi, things you ship with Tambana Chukusi Cabit and the 2 units that may make into Yumata. And then church show permanent Kundi Shawn and Sandin Drubata. You did you come to the Yendo, Muntibicuta, the Henny, Tunjin to the Memel Yumako.
By virtue of our collective merit, may Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness, flourishes throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy beings live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May these and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and authentic spirituality.
Dorna, Magin Senji Tamji, Shidit and Yundubji, Ane Jibali Trone, Sanji Kumbarugi to be Juji.
In short, we dedicate our merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of mental obscuration to liberation and mental obscuration to omniscient state, and may we all reach complete enlightened state soon.
Shanchu Senju Rembo Che Ma Je Ba Che Juro Che Che Wa Nyam Ba Me Ba Dang Kone Kondo Pe Wara Sho Toni Ta Wa Rembo Che Ma Je Ba Che Juro Che Che Wa Nyam Ba Me Ba Dang Kone Kondo Pe Wara Sho Kare Ra Me Korwe Shingang Tere Pendan Dewa Ma Le Jove Ne Shere Sewa Tenzin Dorjee Shabe Sidi Badu Tenjuro Je Sa Je Beje Yuje Bebo Shama Rira Dinshe Nye Yevande Sanje Jendo Mede Bewa Ye Brohwe Nanda Jino Shubara Shugo Idam Guru Rena Madela Niyata Yame Honest. That Angela.
Logan.
You are.
Lawless.
Honest. President.
President.
Ready? What do you mean? Huh? Oh, good.
Yeah, really. It's that second exchange is so far. One was nice.